you can also check out my good friend, Zach Blackerby, who is stopping by the podcast today from Locked on Auburn to talk about Devan Cambridge. Zach, how you doing? Thanks so much.
Richie, I haven't been on a show this far west in a long time. So it's good to hang out with you for a few minutes. Yeah, you got one of our guys. You got Devan Cambridge.
Yeah, you got to tell me all about him. I was taking a peek yesterday. I saw it seems like he looks to be in a rotational role. He had good minutes. The production as far as like points and rebounds didn't seem to be there, but he seemed like he was on the court quite a bit.
Yeah. And he's a guy that'll do a lot of the things that other players don't necessarily want to do, the unsexy type things. But yeah, he started the year as a starter. Alan Flanagan was Auburn's starting 3, but he kind of suffered an injury in the offseason. So Devan started until he came back. And then after that, he was a rotational player, probably the 7th man, the 6th or 7th man on this Auburn team that eventually won the SEC regular season championship. And, he kind of was a key guy as a freshman for the Tigers in I guess that was 3 seasons ago. And I think we thought he was going to develop into more of a shooter, a 3-and-D type player, come off the bench and then eventually start by his junior or senior season. That was kind of what we all thought Devan Cambridge would be. And fast forward a few seasons and like the shots never really came. I mean, in SEC play, he was really bad from behind the arc, but his athleticism, you love it. You love every second of it. The guy can jump out of the gym. He can attack the basket with a vengeance and with force. And despite his size, he'll go get offensive rebounds and he'll play really, really good defense. And he does a lot of things that make your team better, but he wants to be a shooter and he's not. And so that's kind of the thing. It'll be interesting to see how Arizona State uses him and gives him as much of a green light as Bruce Pearl did at Auburn. But great locker room guy, great player to be around. There's a lot to like about Devan Cambridge, Richie.
I'm very excited about him. And some of the things I was reading is that he is a lot better athlete than given credit for, and that he's one of those guys who can be a difference maker underneath the rim.
Yeah.
Looking box score, and box score doesn't tell you everything you need to know, but like you pointed out, definitely not a strong shooter behind the arc whatsoever. But it doesn't feel like that needs to be the strength of his game. What is interesting, as you described it, is he wants to be a shooter, but he's not. That definitely fits in very well with what the Sun Devils like to have, because we have a lot of confident guys who sometimes you wish that they didn't see a shot that they didn't like. But
yeah,
here's hoping that Devan might be able to come into a nice situation where he can get comfortable. There are minutes to be had here because you are losing Marion Jackson, Kamani Lawrence, and Jalen Graham transferring. So there's a lot of opportunity here for Devan. But for what it's worth, his brother, Desmond, is also transferring from Nevada. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, and his brother entered the portal before Devan did. And so Auburn fans were instantly like, oh, is he coming here? Because, he's a little bit better of a shooter than Devan is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Auburn was really excited about the idea of getting him. And I'd love to have known, like, if Devan made the pitch to Bruce Pearl, then he was like, no. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go play with him. I want to do a year. Because I believe Desmond, his brother, only has 1 year left of eligibility, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, they want to do their last year together. And I think it's really, really cool. And so they were a package deal. And ultimately they picked Arizona State. But so I'm sure they'll both start, right? I don't think they would have picked Arizona State if they didn't see that. I don't know what the 2-guard and the 3-guard situation look like at Arizona State. But as you mentioned, those guys transferring out, they probably got a good shot at it. But Devan's got a shot to make a difference here, in the Pac-12. And from an SEC point of view, it seems like the Pac-12 is a lesser competition right now than the SEC. And all of your listeners and viewers right now are rolling their eyes like, of course the SEC guy is saying that. SEC folks love the SEC. But, I think that's going to be something that'll help Devan Cambridge, especially as far as attacking the basket, getting at the top of the key and attacking the basket. And then obviously I think his defense speaks for itself. So I think the tandem of those two guys could really help the Sun Devils overall in 2022.
I absolutely love to hear that you're gushing about his defense. We need difference makers on the court right now. We need that nastiness because when ASU was playing their best basketball, it was when they were tight in coverage and they weren't giving a lot of open looks, and they were forcing guys into awkward positions. They were draining the shot clock down,
Right.
this, that, and the other. So if Devan Cambridge can come in and provide that, we don't need him to be the best shooter on the court because we have a DJ Horn who is more than good enough to be your quarterback of the court, essentially, as your number one point guard. Desmond, I'm hoping, can come in and maybe be that number two guy because he does seem to be the better shooter. But Devin will definitely have a lot of opportunity. ASU typically doesn't really have a lot of center play. We have Enoch Balache, but I feel like he's going to play a lot more power forward just to get him onto the court, which is going to leave opportunity for Cambridge to be that third guard that we will have consistently out there. So, like you said, the opportunity for him to come in and play is absolutely there. It'll be up to him whether or not he can seize it.
Yeah, yeah. And there are moments that Devan Cambridge will have for the Sun Devils this year, regardless, if he starts or not, where he will put the Sun Devils basketball program on the SportsCenter top 10 multiple times throughout the season. I mean, just his Twitter handle is like Bounce Man, and he sold merch that it was orange and blue that, said Bounce Man on it. I mean, the guy can jump out of the gym. He can dunk from the free throw line. And I mean, if you go to his highlights, I mean, he was on the SportsCenter top 10 several times last year. I mean, some of the best dunks that I've ever seen in a college basketball game. He was absolutely on fire. So even if you just get another role player, even if he remains a role player in his transition from being a role player at Auburn to being a role player for the Sun Devils, you will still get 3 or 4 ridiculously incredible and explosive dunks that'll get on the SportsCenter top 10 over the course of the season. I promise you that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll take all of that every single day of the week. Anything that gets Arizona State basketball even slightly noticed, because Lord knows how difficult that is. Very excited about Devin. I truly am. Like, I think this could be a really sneaky good addition. Having him come in with his brother could be a really nice fit for Arizona State. They typically attack the transfer portal very, very heavily, and this seems to be another case with him and his brother coming in. I'm definitely excited about it. I'm glad to hear that you're excited about it, because that's going to get me jazzed as well.
Yeah. No, I think he'll be a fan favorite. He's a fun follow on social media. He's fun in post-game interviews. He's a good guy to have around. He's going to make the program better. So Sun Devil fans watching and listening, be very, very excited about the addition of Devan Cambridge. I think you'll really like him.